Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, as we check in with the National Weather Service hazards map here on this Tuesday morning, we've got a large area of dense fog advisories here from the southern plains, the Gulf Coast, stretching all the way into parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. And even though we don't have a dense fog advisory here across central Illinois, we still got some patchy light fog here, visibility of about 3 miles here in Champaign, Illinois. Also, winter weather advisories here in effect across parts of northern Minnesota, and then as well across parts of western Wisconsin, northeastern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota, around the La Crosse area, Eau Claire. Dealing with some snow here early this morning, and then quite a bit of cold air here across the northern plains. That has been the story for some time now. So we talk about temperatures over the next 10 days. We've continued to see this big area of extremely cold temperatures here across western Canada into parts of the northern plains. We're going to start to shift that off to the south and to the east, displacing it over parts of the Corn Belt, although not quite breaking the color bar, luckily. So a transition here from what's been a long run of unseasonably warm temperatures across a big chunk of the central and eastern Corn Belt, bringing in some cooler temperatures as we head into the 7 to 10 day time frame. As we head into the end of the week, we have a lot of precipitation to get through here, again, across the same area that just saw a lot of precipitation in the last week, and that is the southern plains into the Gulf Coast, parts of the Ohio River Valley, and a big chunk of the central Corn Belt with some snow possible across the Great Lakes. Now, as we wake up, we take a look at the satellite picture here on Tuesday morning. We have, again, a system making its way through parts of the Great Lakes here, bringing some snow to parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin this morning. And we've also got quite a bit of precipitation here ongoing across the southeast as well. And if you remember back to Friday, I showed you an animation of the jet stream showing you the first system, that big storm system making its way through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But then on the backside, we had a series of short waves that were kind of moisture starved. Now, this is the first one of those. You see the flow around this upper level low, quite well defined, but again, kind of starved for moisture, as much of the deeper moisture locked down here across the southeast, not making its way northward into the storm system. So again, some light snow across the Great Lakes here over the next 12 to 18 hours. So you look at the radar picture there, you see it, that snow falling across this region with the heavy rain and the thunderstorms across the southeast. And then as we look at the temperatures, you see the typical pattern here, but you see a couple of frontal boundaries. Again, the warm, humid, moist air being kind of trapped down here across the southeast. You do see the warm air advection feeding into the storm system, the upper level low across the Great Lakes, with the cold air coming around the backside. So a classic look there, but the deeper moisture not making it north of the Ohio River Valley. That's why we're only seeing that light snow across areas well to the north. Now look at the last 7 days of precipitation. A big area of heavy precipitation from the Gulf Coast, the southern plains, into the Ohio River Valley and the Great Lakes. Here's the next 7 days of precipitation. Very similar look. And again, we have a series of short waves making their way through over the next 36 hours, but it's this bigger wave that comes through on Friday and Saturday that delivers another round of very heavy precipitation to this corridor, as well as the chance for some accumulating snow across the Great Lakes and parts of the eastern Corn Belt. Now, stair-stepping through the next few days just to kind of time out the impacts here as we look at midday today, seeing this first upper level low get out of here, getting off to the north and east, with some light snow coming in on the backside again across parts of the Dakotas. As we move into Wednesday morning, watching the second little shortwave make its way through, a little more moisture to tap into here, adding some more snow across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin during the day on Wednesday. Some light rain showers likely from parts of Missouri, Illinois, into Indiana. It might be more of a light drizzle, light sprinkles at times here, off and on showers in the forecast here as we go through late Tuesday night into the day on Wednesday across this corridor right here, but not looking at any substantial rain, no heavy torrential downpours with this one. By Wednesday night, that upper level low making its way through that little short wave getting into the eastern Corn Belt. Rain comes to an end here across Indiana and Ohio. Snow ongoing here across parts of northern Wisconsin, getting into the state of Michigan. Now, waking up on Thursday morning, this is going to be the quietest day, but also the coldest day of the week. High pressure comes in on the backside of that Wednesday storm system. Again, high pressure kind of locked in here across the Corn Belt for a short time because we've already got moisture beginning to kind of feed back to the north. You see high pressure off to the south here across the state of Florida. Well, clockwise flow around that, going to be pumping moisture back in on the backside of this area of high pressure. Clockwise flow here, going to help with that return flow as this area of high pressure gets off to the east. So here's what we've got by the time we get to Friday. Our more substantial wave begins to lift into the area. By the time we get to Friday morning, snow beginning to overspread a big part of the Dakotas into the Great Lakes, even into parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley here, central Illinois. It's possible that the precipitation starts off as snow in this region, but again, flow around this upper level high, and then in advance of the incoming trough here, going to be driving moisture northward, driving warmer temperatures northward. So across central Illinois, it looks like precipitation maybe starts off as snow, but perhaps then transitions to more of a rain event once again. So here's a look at the upper level pattern. This is what is driving all of this. Here's the first wave making its way through right now. You see it beginning to lift off to the north and to the east. On the backside, here's a Wednesday little wave. So this is the one that brings the light rain showers to this corridor and then another round of snow to Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the state of Michigan. Take the drawings off. Notice the difference here. These two waves, the Tuesday and Wednesday waves, very flat and quick moving, embedded within the flow. But then as we get into the end of the week, watching our Friday, Saturday storm system, see how this one's much more defined, much more amplified, and that's what helps drive the stronger area of low pressure, the bigger precipitation shield, drawing more of that warm and humid air up to the north. So this is the big one that comes in on the backside, bringing the more substantial precipitation impacts, and then some colder air on the backside as we head into next week. So looking at the moisture content within the atmosphere, again, starting it off here on Tuesday, watching this first little wave, you see the more substantial precipitation. I was drawing this in on the satellite and radar picture, but there it is in visual form. The deep moisture locked in across the southeastern U.S., not being able to lift up to the Great Lakes here and create a more substantial precipitation event as we get through the next 18 hours. As we get into Wednesday, this one draws a little bit more northward. This is what is able to get the rain showers into this corridor. That's what is able to kind of drive the snow across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. A little better attempt here at drawing some moisture to the north. Now this front squeezes through. Thursday is a chilly day on the backside of that. You see the frontal boundary now doing something like this. High pressure on the backside, cold across this region, but quiet for the day on Thursday. Now let's take this into Friday and Saturday, and you can imagine what's going to happen here. You already see it by the time we get to midnight on Friday, drawing that moisture northward into the region on Friday and Saturday. This again, able to drive some snow across the northern plains into the Great Lakes, and then another very heavy rain event across this region right here. Now the difference is this one doesn't dwell for 3 days. It gets out of here. So the chance for some significant precipitation, but not looking at 3 days worth of significant precipitation across the region. So in the short term, temperatures, we can see the warm air lift northward in advance of our Wednesday system, and then the cooler air coming in on the backside. That's our front for Thursday, so cooler for the day on Friday. Looking at the high-resolution NAMS precipitation forecast, here you see your Tuesday snow quickly making it out of the Great Lakes, out of the state of Wisconsin here by the end of the day today. Now as we get into Tuesday evening, seeing some of this light snow begin to emerge across the Dakotas. It's likely by the time we get to Wednesday morning, seeing heavier snow making its way through Minnesota and Wisconsin, perhaps some light freezing drizzle across the Illinois-Wisconsin border. This is when those light rain showers are tracking through this region as well. So a light drizzle, off and on light sprinkles from Missouri into Illinois and Indiana, and then eventually the state of Ohio by the time we get to Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. Just finishing the loop, we'll get all the way out here to, this would be 6 a.m. on Thursday, so waking up on Thursday morning. Maybe some light snow flurries across parts of Wisconsin coming off the lake here. Otherwise, that front now well off to the south, quiet, dry, cold across this region for the day on Thursday. Total snow just over the next 60 hours, looking at anywhere from a trace to maybe 4 to 6 inches here on the north side here. This would be across parts of northern Minnesota, getting into northern Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan, where that corridor of heaviest snow would be. But generally along and north of that line here, parts of the Dakotas into northern Iowa, not likely talking about any snow in the state of Illinois, and then a bit of a cutoff here across northern Indiana into Ohio as well, with maybe a trace of some snow possible in that region. Now let's look at the bigger one. Let's take a look at the European model, taking a longer look here. We'll go quickly through Tuesday into Wednesday. Here goes the Wednesday storm system, quiet and cold for the day on Thursday. Waking up on Friday to some snow across parts of Nebraska into South Dakota, western Iowa possibly, but this thing really gets organized here late in the day on Friday. This is when we could see some snow across this region here from Minnesota into Iowa, the northern half of Illinois, the state of Wisconsin, perhaps northern Indiana. But then as the warm air begins to lift off to the north, we do change things over to rain here across much of the state of Illinois and Indiana. That freezing line by the time we get to Saturday morning, lifting northward here. So the state of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, seeing snow continue. But south of that line, likely transitioning over to a very cold rain. Now this system begins to lift and get out of here by the time we get to Saturday evening. This is what we're looking at Saturday evening. Now again, we're talking about timing here 4 to 5 days in advance, so do check in with the forecast here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I want to give an early idea with timing, but obviously not set in stone here at this range. This is what we're looking at now. Saturday evening, cold air coming on the backside, perhaps changing things back over to some light snow here across the state of Illinois and Indiana. And then the system continues to lift off to the north and to the east, getting out here by the time we get to Sunday evening. So now, taking a look at total precipitation, once again looking at a corridor here of more heavy precipitation from Oklahoma into Kansas, Missouri, and Illinois. A big chunk of the Ohio River Valley here, another 1 to 3 inches of precipitation possible with that heaviest snow threat off to the north. We can see that here. Look at the ensemble forecast here. I'm not going to talk about specific snow events at this, or snow totals at this range. We're looking at the probability of more than 3 inches of snow falling, though, through 7 p.m. on Saturday. Where you see the red shading, that is where we've got near 100% probability. And you see that here across parts of northern Iowa into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The trail off, or the very sharp cutoff line here across the Iowa-Missouri border, getting into central Illinois, central Indiana, and Ohio. So question marks across this region. How much snow do we see? Pretty good chance we're going to see at least 3 inches of snow as you get into the Great Lakes. Now temperatures, just to finish it up, as we get into early next week, watching the pattern change. Again, a pattern as we start things off that has driven a lot of warmth across this region while keeping the cold air off to the north across the northern plains into the Canadian Prairie. And if I just take this loop into early next week, so getting into Tuesday of next week, January 21st, I have to do a complete reversal on my colors here. Now shifting, displacing some cold air across the Corn Belt, a bigger chunk of the Corn Belt here, while actually warming across parts of the Canadian Prairie. How cold does it get? How sustained is the cold? That's what we'll have to watch here, but it does appear as we head into the last week or so of January, at least kind of bringing things back to reality, ending this run of very warm conditions here. Again, 24 days in a row with temperatures above normal in Champaign, Illinois, and while we will extend that streak here through the end of the week, it will come to an end here as we get into early next week, as we begin to do a reversal on this pattern. Trough west, ridge east, very different look by the time we get to the end of the month. We'll finish here looking at high temperatures for the next few days. Tuesday, high temps below zero across the northern plains. Now we talk about, shifting the cold air. These have been the unlucky folks across the Corn Belt here who have dealt with some sustained cold. As we head through Wednesday and now Thursday, you're starting to see that front here. This is the coldest, quietest day across the Corn Belt. Getting into Friday, watching that warm air lift back to the north. Overnight lows for the next few days. Wednesday, 15 below across the north, 55 in the mid-south, Kentucky and Tennessee. Much colder still for the Thursday morning forecast here, negative 20 to 25 across North Dakota and Minnesota. As we head into Friday morning, a bit of relief, only negative 15 across northern Minnesota. And then Saturday morning, our storm system in full force across this region here, waking up to temperatures below freezing across the Dakotas, with temperatures near 50 degrees on Saturday morning in the Mid-South. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have our long-range U.S.-focused weather analysis on Wednesday morning, a look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and then I'll be back to talk about the Corn Belt on Friday. Plenty of opportunities to stay tuned with the impacts on our upcoming winter storm system.